Okay, it's 1 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The proceedings of this meeting will be recorded and made available on the internet. And I would move on to item 1.2 of our agenda, which is roll call, and ask our clerk, Jessie Clark, to please call the roll.
Thank you. Mayor Lamstead, are you present?
I'm present.
Deputy Mayor Armstrong?
Present.
Councillor Franzen?
Present.
Councillor Braybrook?
Present.
Councillor Cadigan?
Present.
For staff, we have Donna Taggart, CAO Treasurer.
Present.
Steve Rockbank, Director of Emergency Services.
Present.
Evan Grieger, Director of Public Works.
Present.
Barb Waldron, Director of Building and Planning, CBO.
Present.
Adele Arbor, Planner.
Present.
Bianca Dragicevic, Deputy Clerk.
Present.
Derek Bertram, Planning Technician, is on his way. Matt Winches, Supervisor of Waste Public Works Coordinator.
Present.
Rachel Stark, Economic Development Communications Coordinator.
Present.
Laura Crowley, HR Payroll Coordinator. And Jesse Clark, Director of Corporate Services Clerk, is present.
Okay, thank you very much, Jessie. We can move on now to item 1.3 of our agenda, which is land acknowledgement and moment of reflection. We respectfully acknowledge that Trent Lakes and Peterborough County are located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga and territory and in the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaty First Nation, which include Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Beausoleil, and Georgina Island First Nation. Trent Lakes respectfully acknowledges that the Williams Treaty First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. We will now take a moment to reflect on these principles and our duties and responsibilities as members of council. Thank you, everyone. We can now move on to item 2 of the agenda, which is the disclosure of pecuniary interest. If any member of council has a pecuniary interest on an item on the agenda, please disclose it now or any time during the meeting prior to discussing anything on the item you have an interest in. I see none. We can move on to item 3 of our agenda, which is the approval of the agenda as circulated. I would entertain a motion for same. I'm seeing Councillor Cadigan for a mover and Deputy Mayor Armstrong for a seconder. Any conversation? I'm seeing none. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion is carried. We can move on to item 4 of our agenda, which is adoption of minutes. And we have 3 minutes to adopt. If we want to do them all at once or speak about them individually. Councillor Franzen, go ahead.
Yeah, I'd like to adopt all 3 sets of minutes.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that motion? Seeing Councillor Cadigan for a seconder. Any conversation about the minutes? I'm seeing none. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion is carried. Okay, we can move on to item 5 of our agenda, which is committees and boards. Item 5.1 is the Committee of Adjustment and Appeals Committee for September the 10th. Anything to discuss about that or prepare to make a motion? Seeing no motion, no hand. I see Councillor Franzen for a mover.
Motion to receive.
I see Deputy Mayor Armstrong for a seconder on the motion to receive. Any conversation? I'm seeing none. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion is carried. We can move on to item 5.2 of our agenda, which is liaison reports for council boards and committees. Does anyone have anything to report? I'm seeing none. We can move on to item 6 of our agenda, which is statutory public meeting pursuant to the Planning Act. We have none. Item 7 is business arising out of a previous statutory public meeting. We have none. Item 8 is presentations. We have none. Item 9 is delegations. We have none. We are flying through this agenda. And we can get to item 10, which is staff reports. 10.1 is public works. Matt Winges, Supervisor of Waste and Public Works Coordinator. Would you like to speak to this item, please? Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, members of council. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I would like to present this report on the Blue Box program non-eligible source funding. The recommendation is that council receive the report from myself regarding Blue Box program non-eligible sources funding, and further that council approve option 1 to continue accepting Blue Box material from non-eligible sources at all transfer stations at no cost to the businesses starting January 1st, 2026. The estimated total annual cost added would be approximately $16,446.80. I'm going to give you a bit of a background or a bit of an overview here, but it is somewhat of a lengthy report, so I'm not going to just read it to you. As of January of this year, we entered the transition period for the new Blue Box producer responsibility program. Once the program is in full effect, producers of Blue Box material, like the Pepsis and Nestle's of the world, will no longer be responsible for certain sources, which I'll touch on briefly in a moment. But during this transition period, we are still able to continue to collect these non-eligible sources that we always have. And then the estimated percentage that would make that up is deducted from our compensation that we get from these producers currently. Once January 1st, 2026 comes around, the producers of Blue Box material will no longer be required to pick those items up and no longer required to compensate for them. These sources include basically anything that isn't a residence. So it'll be businesses, but it also includes things like community centers, daycares, nonprofits, places of worship, certain trailer parks, stuff like that. So here are the options, and I'll just give you a quick rundown on each of them. Option 1 would be to accept material from all of these sources at no cost. We would basically place 2 extra bins, one for containers, one for fibers at each of the sites, and those would be just for the non-eligible sources so that they're separated. The pros for this are obviously that it's the same level of service that they've always had, but it does have the highest cost, I would say. Option 2, accept from all the sources but at a fee. And to reiterate, this would be charging for recyclables, which is not unheard of, but it is something that will likely discourage recycling to some extent, and we want to encourage that. We would have to do it the same way we do any other material. Since we don't have any scales, we would have to basically estimate and charge by the cubic yard, which is not ideal, but it would be a way to recover some of the costs, and it's still the same level of service, just with cost attached now. And then, of course, the third option would be to stop providing services entirely for non-eligible sources, but this would be reducing the level of service and would likely result in some controversy. So hopefully, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you very much, Matt. Does anyone on council have any questions of that? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Armstrong.
Thanks, Mayor Lamson. I should have done my own research, and I only thought of this now. The formula for being compensated by circular materials already assumes a certain percentage deduction for non-eligible sources, right? What is that percentage?
Through you, Mr. Lamshead. It is 2.03. So in here I have 5%.
Right.
I wanted a bit of a cushion there because we don't actually know how much these non-eligible sources actually recycle.
Right.
We're expecting it to be more than the average person. So I have 250% of it just to be safe.
So just to be clear, if I can, so the assumption they make is based on impact data.
That's correct.
Okay. So yeah.
And I think with adding the 2 bins, you get a good sense of how much there really will be over the next couple of years. We should be able to track it more accurately. Any other comments or questions? Go ahead, Councillor Franzen.
Make a motion
Okay.
to receive the report and go with option 1. I think the option 1 makes the most sense in my mind.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? I see Councillor Cadigan for a seconder. Any other conversation? Go ahead, Councillor Braber.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Thanks very much, Matt. Do you have any ideas of post 2026? I know we're saying if we adopt option 1, it's going to be status quo basically. Do you have anything post 2026? Or are we going to be incurring the 16,000, give or take?
Yeah, so this would be going forward, starting in 2026.
Right.
So starting 2026, we will have this increased cost for the remainder of this year and all of next year. We will be still just doing the 2%, which is significantly less. But yes, going forward, 2026, this would be a recurring cost year over year.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments or questions? I'm seeing none. I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. Thank you very much, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay, we can move on now to item 10.2 of our agenda, which is recreation and facilities. We have none. 10.3 is fire and emergency services. We have none. 10.4 is building and planning. 10.4.1 is Derek Bertram, our planning technician. Would you please speak to this file?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lambshead and Council. Today we have consent application for a lot line adjustment for a vacant parcel just north of the 49 depot, which was submitted by TD Consulting on behalf of Elmdale Developments. The parcel subject to the consent application is proposing to add 3.87 acres to achieve a total lot size of 4.2 acres for the purpose of constructing storage units at a future date. The northerly retained parcel is currently in the process of review for a plan of condominium for the proposed construction of 13 dwelling units. Planning staff are in support of the proposed lot line adjustment, which shall be subject to a minor zoning bylaw amendment to create a single zone category being hamlet commercial, and shall also be subject to a holding provision due to the future requirement of a site plan agreement to capture the intended commercial use in accordance with the relevant policies. The municipality's building staff have no objections to the proposed consent as it pertains to septic approvals. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Derek, anyone have any comments or questions for Derek? Pretty interesting development. Is anyone prepared to make a motion? Seeing no hand, I'm seeing Councillor Franzen for a mover.
I'll make a motion and support.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that motion? Seeing Deputy Mayor Armstrong for a seconder. Any other conversation regarding this item? I'm seeing none. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. Okay. Thank you very much. We can move on now to item 10.5, which is finance, and 10.5.1. Lori Crowley, HR and payroll coordinator. Would you like to speak to this item, please?
Good afternoon. Our recommendation is that council receive the report from myself, HR and payroll coordinator, regarding Manulife group benefit renewal, and further that council approve the Manulife employee group benefit effective November 1st. The employee benefits plan renewal was negotiated on behalf of the municipality by Mosey & Mosey under the Peterborough County-wide program. It's scheduled to renew November 1st. The total cost is $450,000, which is a 2.6% annual increase. So we hope that council receive and approve the Manulife benefit plan renewal.
Okay, thank you very much, Lori. Anyone on council have any comments or questions? Deputy Mayor Armstrong, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Lambshead. Just one, the dental is going up. Well, it was originally proposed at 23.5, negotiated, down to 17.6. I know we had a substantial increase last year, I think, because of a few individuals' claims. Are those claims continuing? And is that why we have a big increase again this year? Or are there other factors?
This year, the increase went up because when the union negotiated their contract, that was part of it to have orthodontics pricing go up.
Ah, excellent answer. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? I'm seeing none. Is anyone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Braver, go ahead.
Thank you. Make a motion to receive and that council approve the Manulife employee group benefit renewal effective November 1st, 2024.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that motion? I see Councillor Cadigan for a seconder. Any other conversation? I'm seeing none. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you very much, Laura. Okay, we can move on to item 10.5.2 of our agenda, and that's Donna Taggart, our CAO treasurer. Would you like to speak to this item, please?
Yes, thank you, and through you. Before you is a request to transfer any surpluses from 2024 to reserve for future use. As council will recall, I come to you every year with this request. But this year, I'm coming to you with the request to transfer the 2024 surplus into reserves, but also any future budget cycles, those surplus monies into reserves as well. So for transparency, annual surplus balances are presented to council and the public during the annual presentation from the auditor when you receive the consolidated financial statements. And that would include any increased reserve balances from those transferred funds. So this is just to, for efficiency, to do one resolution that will allow us to transfer in future years as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Donna. Anyone have any comments or questions? Seeing none, is anyone prepared to make a motion? See, Deputy Mayor Armstrong, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Armstrong. I'll make the recommendation that council receive the report, that we direct annually, after completion of all audit entries, any remaining surplus funds be transferred to reserves by function for future use. And that's it.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Seeing Councillor Cadigan for a seconder. Any other conversation? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. Thank you very much, Tom. Okay, we can move on to item 10.6 of our agenda, which is administration. 10.6.1 is Rachel Stark, our Economic Development and Communications Officer. Would you like to speak to this item, please, Rachel?
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. I bring forward a report to Council today regarding the Community Sport and Recreation Infrastructure Fund. This fund aims to support municipalities and organizations in the delivery of community sport and recreation programming. Applicants may apply under Stream 1 for project funding between $150,000 to $1 million to support projects that will result in the repair or rehabilitation of community sport and recreation facilities. Currently, the baseball diamond at the Cavendish Community Center needs various upgrades as outlined in the report and would be an eligible project for the fund. The Recreation and Facilities Department are currently gathering estimated costs for the project. Should an application be submitted, the municipality would be responsible for covering 50% of the total project cost. Staff would be submitting a letter along with the application to be considered for 70% contribution. The recommendation is that council receive the report and further that council direct staff to apply for the Community Sport and Recreation Infrastructure Fund with a proposed project to renovate the baseball field diamond at the Cavendish Community Center. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Rachel. Anyone have any comments or questions? I'm seeing none. I think this is one project that if we can get some funding for, it's a great idea. It's a little rough out there. I know historically for the last 30 some years, I've been fixing the field myself, so it'd be kind of nice to have it fixed properly. Some netting over the playground and center field will be a great idea as well. I don't really see, says some mesh and stuff, but it doesn't specifically say over that playground because it is a little dangerous for people that hit a longer ball. Thank you very much for bringing this to our attention. Is anyone prepared to make a motion?
Sorry, maybe just another comment on that, if I may.
Sure, please do.
I know nothing about it, but I do know that people play baseball there because it's on the sign every Wednesday night. So it's very much used, and it's used at some of the events during the summer. So this is a very well-used facility. That was what I was going to add.
It is, and thank you very much for that comment, because it's very nice that the Parks and Recreation facilities people keep that field in really good condition now. It's nice to have some help there. Okay, now is anyone prepared to make a motion? I see Councillor Cadigan for a mover and Councillor Franzen for a seconder. Any other conversation? I'm seeing none. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. Thank you very much, Rachel. We can move on now to item 10.7 of our agenda, which is corporate services. 10.7.1 is Bianca Dragicevic, our deputy clerk. Can you please speak to this item?
Thank you, and through you. Before you are the council expenses submitted for the month of September and the remainder of August. I just would like to note that in the first chart in the report, the amount for September was incorrectly put in the row for Councillor Cadigan. However, the expenses that are being claimed are for Councillor Franzen. And so these expenses are for council's approval and authorization. Thank you.
Okay, Thank you very much. Does anyone have any comments or questions or is prepared to make a motion? Seeing no hand. I see Councillor Brayber, go ahead.
Thank you. Make a motion that council receive the report and approve the expenses.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that motion? See Councillor Cadigan for a seconder. Any other conversation? I'm seeing none. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. Thank you very much, Bianca. Now we can move on to item 10.7.2 of our agenda. Jesse Clark, our Director of Corporate Services and Clerk, can you please speak to this item?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lamshead. At the July 16th, 2024 regular meeting of council, council approved the stop up closure and sale of a portion of an unopened road allowance adjacent to the Hussar property. The applicants have completed an appraisal of the land and the total appraised value is $5,700. Staff are recommending that council approve the purchase price and direct the applicants to have a survey prepared.
Okay, thank you very much, Jesse. Anyone have any comments or questions? Seeing none, is anyone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Brayber, go ahead.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to receive the report and the council approve the purchase price for the sale of the road allowance of $5,700 plus HST.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? See Deputy Mayor Armstrong.
With a comment.
Any conversation? Go ahead.
Just wanted to point out the environmental implications, which are now part of our staff reports, and the mention that the owners plan to plant an additional 5,000 seedlings on that land as it becomes fertile through replacing dead or fallen trees. So it has an environmentally positive impact as well.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'm quite interested that our values have gone up considerably. I remember historically we'd sell this for about $1,100. It's a considerably larger amount. Thank you. Okay. Any other comments? I'm seeing none. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jesse. We can move on to 10.7.3 of our agenda, which is Jesse Clark, our Director of Corporate Services Clerk. Would you like to speak to this item, please?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lamshead, the draft 2025 council meeting calendar has been prepared in accordance with the procedure bylaw with council meetings on the first and third Tuesday of each month and one regular meeting during the month of July and August, with the exception of January, where only one meeting's been scheduled on the second Tuesday due to the holidays. In April, the meetings have been scheduled for the second and fourth due to the OGRA conference. I'm looking for council's adoption of the 2025 council meeting calendar.
Okay, thank you very much, Jesse. Is there anyone have any comments or questions? Seeing Councillor Brayber, go ahead, please.
I think I'll make a motion to receive and a motion to the council adopt the 2025 council meeting calendar.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Brayber. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Cadigan for a seconder. Any other conversation? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. Thank you. We can move on to item 10.7.4 of our agenda, which is Jesse Clark, our Director of Corporate Services Clerk. Can you please speak to this item?
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Lamshead, the 2025 dates and locations for the Roma, OGRA, AMO, and OEMC conferences were included in the staff report, and staff are seeking direction on which council members will be attending each conference. Additionally, should council choose to send members to Roma, staff are also seeking directions on which, if any, ministries to request delegations and the topic for each delegation. And the report contains the ministries and topics for all delegations requested in 2024.
Okay, thank you very much, Jesse. Does anyone have any comments or questions or any requests? Or go ahead, Deputy Mayor Armstrong.
Thank you, Mayor Lamshead. I was unable to go to any conferences this year at the last minute, but I would like to go to the Roma conference in January, if that's possible, unless anybody else has.
Okay, thank you, Carol.
Fight
Anyone
me
else?
for it.
Councillor Brayman, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Is there only for Roma's, is it only allotted for one council member or two?
I think we can go two. Is it? Can we go two?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
is that-
per council member, but we just recommend not more than two going.
Gotcha, okay. Right, because I've been to OBRA and OEMC, so if possible, and subject to the rest of council, I'd like to request to attend Roma as well.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. Anyone else have any requests that they would like to? Go ahead,
I
Councillor
just have a
Trent.
question. Due to a family situation, I probably can't go to a conference next year. You have a 93-year-old mother. I can't leave for that length of time. Is there any option of me taking AMO courses instead of going to the conferences?
Through you, Mayor Lamshead, we do budget $5,000 for council members every year for education courses, so that option's always available. It's $1,000 per member. And I defer to the treasurer if that conference money could also be used towards education as well.
Right, so thank you, and through you, I would think that's an appropriate use of the funds. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that information. Councillor Franzen. Yeah, Councillor Cadigan, do you have any ideas what you would like to do?
I think that I would like to attend the OGRA in March.
Okay, I think that was the one I was liking to attend as well. So that leaves OEMC unattended. And I will be going to AMO through the county of Peterborough, so I'm getting back some of the tax dollars we give to them.
Just a question or a comment. One of the reasons, aside from a lot of personal obligations, I didn't go to OEMC is the timing is so bad. I mean, everybody gears up for AMO and all the ministers make their funding announcements and yada, yada, yada. So it almost seems like, you know, anticlimactic. So my question is, did you find it valuable to go to OEMC as well as AMO?
For me, absolutely. It's a different environment. There's no ministers there. You can't do a delegation to a minister. It's more of a learning. You can be as aggressive with your education there as you want. There's many different things you can see. Next time I won't be so aggressive with attending things because I had absolutely no time, but I learned a lot of stuff. There was lots of presentations by different companies with different communal septic and water systems. So you had an opportunity to see a wide variety of things, very educational, different pace completely than any other conference I've been to. You get to choose what you want to do and you just go and do it. So it was well worth it.
Yeah, through your Mayor to Deputy Armstrong. I attended the OEMC. I found the most beneficial was, well, for me, at least being fairly new, the networking with all the other municipalities and sharing with them, you know, not necessarily issues that Trent Lakes is facing, but it was, I found that to be very valuable. And also there were specific to, we were looking for doctors at the time, and there were a few presentations from, I believe it was Belleville, that provided a presentation on the challenges that they were facing and that sort of thing. And now that we have Lori Ritchie, I mean, that's sort of alleviated. So I found it very beneficial. So
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
It's a different pace. That's, for me, it was just a different pace. You got to choose what you did. Don't choose too much. Okay. So we still don't have anyone for OEMC, but that's, I don't know if we, did you have a question? Carol, look like you're, okay.
Sorry.
It's okay, it's all
Sit
good.
on my hands.
No, that's fine. Now's the time. Okay, so we can ponder that and think about that.
You were over?
I would like to go over, yes, please. I don't think I've ever been to Ogres.
And then what delegations to request at Roma, if any?
Yes, that's a good question. I think we're still likely going to want some talk about library funding. I don't think that's ever been settled or changed. Or we had a great conversation with the Solicitor General's. I think it was actually him that came there and about firefighter certification, and John Pegg, the Ontario Fire Marshal's office, was there and had a good conversation. He said he would be getting in touch with our chief and we could get back and forth and make sure that we are not missing some of the opportunities for grandfathering some of our long-standing firefighters.
Through you, Mayor,
Go ahead.
they have earmarked $14 million for training for rural municipalities.
So perhaps that's a good idea to have another conversation to see if we can't I know there was some funding announcements that were made out, and I think there was an application for some smaller amounts, but everything helps, right? Go ahead, Councillor Brayberg.
Thank you, through your mayor. I recommend second and third bullet points, the Solicitor General regarding firefighter certification and the Ministry of Tourism regarding the library fund.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Armstrong.
Yeah, I'd like to add one regarding waste, to lobby or advocate for including the non-eligible sources in waste collection by producers. That clearly is an issue for ourselves and others. And the other one, maybe, I think everybody's been pushing AMO and Eastern Ontario Wardens Caucus and others for a social and economic prosperity review, which is really an umbrella review to ensure that the province supports struggling municipalities as they try to pay for aging infrastructure, social programs that have been downloaded, healthcare, yada, yada. So it's kind of an umbrella pitch for the province to provide more funding just to help municipalities.
Great idea, Deputy Mayor Armstrong. I mean, we certainly could use some more funding from the provincial level. And I think everyone's in the same position. And the more we talk about it, the more chance we have of doing something. So we could be the squeaky wheel once again. Everyone in favor of them two other delegations? Do we need a vote? I don't know.
Yeah, that'll all be one motion.
Okay. So we're pretty much settled on what we want to do for our delegations and for the conferences. You have that all written down, I'm assuming, Clerk Jesse Card? Okay. Any other, I don't know if we have a motion yet. Okay, so I would entertain a motion for what we just discussed about who's going where and what delegations. I see Councillor Brayberg for a mover and Councillor Franzen for a seconder. Any other conversation? I'm seeing none. I will call for a vote. All in favor? That motion has carried as described by our clerk. Okay, thank you very much. We can move on to item 11 of our agenda, which is correspondence for information. Item 11.1 is the Valley Hall Board minutes from September 30th and the AGM of November 27th. Anyone would like to speak to this item or make a motion? Councillor Franzen, go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to receive, and I also would like to speak on this item.
Okay, I'll get a seconder first. I see Councillor Cadigan for a seconder. Any other conversation? Go ahead, Councillor Franzen.
Through your mayor, I just want to point out that the raising their fees to $500 for rentals from $360. A lot of that has to do with cleaning costs.
Do you understand that? Everything seems to get more expensive.
And the cost of rentals in the area, it seems to be appropriately priced.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Is there any other conversation? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. Okay, we can go on to item 12 of our agenda, which is correspondence for information. We can do them all at the same time, or we can speak about them individually at council's desire. Anyone prepared to make a motion? The Councillor Cadigan for a mover.
I'll make a motion to receive them all.
Okay. And do I have a seconder for that motion? Deputy Mayor Armstrong for a seconder. Any other conversation? I'm seeing none. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. Okay, we can now move on to bylaws. We have none. Business arising out of a previous meeting. Does anyone have any business arising out of a previous meeting? I'm seeing none. Information items. Does anyone have any information items for today? Deputy Mayor Armstrong, go ahead.
Thank you. Some good news. The library, as you know, both libraries, both branches, which report to one board, have been posted the position of CEO, and they received 3 applications for that. An interview committee of 3 interviewed them and made a recommendation to the board. The board agreed on their recommended choice. An offer letter has been sent out, and an individual will be starting this Wednesday, which is great news. So
Excellent.
we now have a full-time, well, she's part-time, but she will be a permanent CEO. She does have library experience and background in the public library system. She also has client service, retail experience. So she has a myriad of skill sets and experience she's bringing to it. And the interview team was quite excited about how excited she was and new ideas and really looking forward to it, and felt that she would make a good additional member of the team that we already have in place.
Well, that's excellent news. Thank you very much. Is she willing to share her name? Not yet.
She is
Okay.
Deputy Mayor Armstrong remembering her name? I
Okay.
do not.
No. It's okay. We can move.
I do not.
Okay.
She does
Oh,
have a name.
No, that's
She's
excellent
perfectly
news.
willing to disclose it.
Okay. Excellent news, Deputy Mayor Armstrong. That's great. Thank you very much for that update. Does anyone else have any more information? Go ahead, Councillor Franz.
Just one thing, I was privileged to go to the fire college there last weekend to celebrate the graduation of 6 firefighters. We had the largest graduation class from Peterborough County, and congratulations to our fire chief and to the graduates.
Very good. Thank you very much, Councillor Franz, and yes, congratulations to all. I think we should do something nice from that, and we will. Okay, Councillor Caddick, go ahead.
One more information item, if I may. November 2nd, Galway Hall is hosting a turkey dinner fundraiser. Anybody can attend.
Okay. I think that's an annual adventure for myself. Okay, any other information item? I'm seeing none. We can move on to item 17 of our agenda, which is closed meeting. We need a motion to go into closed. Councillor Gadigan for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Braybrook, we are going into closed for item 17.1, Ontario Municipal Act, section 239.2, to discuss B, matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, municipal employees, identifiable individual. D, labor relations or employee negotiations, municipal employees. E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, zoning compliance, statement of claim, building code compliance. And F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, zoning compliance, statement of claim, building code compliance, and legal advice. Now I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion is carried. We can go into closed. I think we can recess for some. Okay, we are at 17.2 of our agenda, which is rise from close. I would have entertain a motion for same. See Councillor Cadigan for a mover and Deputy Mayor Armstrong for a seconder. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion is carried. We are back into, we reconvened our regular council meeting. We can move on to item 18, which is business arising out of our closed meeting. And item 18.1 is the adoption of the minutes from our previous meeting. I would entertain a motion to adopt them. Councillor Franzen for a mover. Councillor Cadigan for a seconder. Any conversation about the minutes? Seeing none, I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. We can move on now to item 19 of our agenda, which is the adoption of the confirming bylaw. 19.1 is the confirming bylaw. See Deputy Mayor Armstrong for a mover to adopt our confirming bylaw and a seconder. Councillor Braybrook for a seconder. Any conversation about the confirming bylaw? I'm seeing none. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. We can now move on to item 20 of our agenda, which is adjournment. Would anyone like to make a motion to adjourn? Seeing Councillor Cadigan for a mover and Councillor Braybrook for a seconder. I will call for the vote. All in favor? That motion has carried. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, council. Thank you, staff. Thank you, everyone that participated.